Welcome boys and girls from YouTube. My name is Sloth, this is Slothforge, and thanks a lot for stopping by. In today's video, I want to talk about all the different banners, and not about the banners in particular, but about the probabilities to obtain heroes from those banners, because there are some extremely interesting numbers, and if you want to use your resources wisely, then I'm very sure that this video is going to help you. So, without further ado, let's get into this. Oh, and by the way, if you don't want to watch the full video, I would also put a TLDR in the description below, so feel free to have a look at the description. Alright, so the first ratios I want to talk about real quick is about the Summon Supreme Ticket banners. And first, this is kind of obvious, you cannot get any Season 1 heroes here, 0.0%, but yeah, as I said, this is super obvious because now this is at the beginning of Season 3, so the Season 2 summon tickets can obviously only summon you heroes from Season 3. Because yeah, they were the reward for Season 2, for the ending of Season 2. Now, if you look at those ratios, they are extremely interesting. As you can see, the exclusive Season 3 heroes from Ozul to Shorak only have a 0.03%. That if you pull one of your dice, there is a 0.03% chance that this dice includes one of those exclusive heroes. So, and since you only have 20 of those tickets, you only get 2 legendary heroes, it is extremely unlikely that you're going to get one of those exclusive heroes from those Supreme Summon tickets. So this is what I always say when I tell you that it is not too important if you go for the purple or the golden tickets. So if you have a very competitive server, or in general you are more of a casual player and you cannot manage to finish in the top 20 or top 50, it's absolutely no problem, because this is the biggest difference between those tickets, that the golden tickets also can pull you exclusive heroes. So this is in my opinion the biggest difference, and yeah, as you can see, it is still so unlikely that it is not worth the struggle. Especially now, of course, if you enjoy the competition, if you just want to participate in those leaderboards, then this is absolutely fine. This is what I do as well. I just enjoy this kind of competition. But you should really not focus on those leaderboards just for the golden tickets, because as you can see, they are not as good as some of you probably think. Now let's talk about the other ratios here just as well, real quick, because as you can see, we have way more legendaries here in this banner, in this Supreme Ticket banner, and we have still some different ratios. Like we have those little bit rarer heroes, let's call them the pseudo exclusives, or I don't know, actually the support heroes, okay? Let's call them the support heroes, because those heroes are just harder to come by. They are also, and this is the big issue which we talk about in just a second, they are not included in the selector banners, in the first 3 selector banners as well. So heroes like Feenja, Cinderell, Theodemir, Krasitia, they are extremely hard to come by. And they are, just in general, also at this banner, harder to come by than heroes like Trollga, Victor, Aspalta, and so on. So yeah, this is also why calling them the support heroes is not ideal, because Stanguem or Victor are also kind of support heroes. But yeah, I hope you get what I try to say. Some of those support heroes are just harder to come by. Just as a rule of thumb, whenever a hero has its own banner, for example Feenja, or if you can select a hero from a banner, it is always that those kind of heroes are harder to come by than heroes like Whisk or Trollga, heroes who never have their own banner. And yeah, this is the first thing. Also very interesting here, Stanguem is just as rare as those other heroes here, because a lot of people, me included, kind of had the theory that Stanguem was easier, or just, yeah, there are more Stanguems around than, for example, Aspaltas. Which, yeah, at least in this banner is not true, but we will look at the other banners in just a second and have a look at those banners and those ratios. And just to show you this as well, just real quick, as you can see, those are the ratios for the purple tickets, so the slightly worse summon tickets. And as you can see, here are now some other heroes from Season 2 included as well, which of course changes the ratio at all, because we just have a bigger pool, also some Season 2 heroes. So this is another argument which makes those golden tickets just better in general, because you can only get heroes from one season, which sometimes can actually be not too good, but most of the time it's actually very cool, very good to only pull heroes from a new season. especially for new players who have all, or who don't have a single hero from the new season. This is actually kind of cool. So I don't want to say that those golden tickets are not good or so. I just want to say that, especially for some people out there, it's just not worth the struggle. Now, let's talk about the selected summons banner, because here it is extremely interesting as well. And those are probably for you the most interesting numbers as well. Because in general, now in my last videos, I always recommended you, especially if you're free to play or low spender, to not summon on the selected summons banner. And now I can absolutely show you why I would not recommend you to pull on those banners. So let's talk about the selected summons 1 banner. But those numbers that do not change for selected summons 2 and 3 banner. The only thing that changes is, in the selected summons 1 banner, you can only summon necrosis and lightning heroes. So heroes like poison heroes or some ice heroes, for example, they have a 0.0 probability. But apart from that, the selected summons 1, 2, and 3 banner are absolutely the same. Now, we have 2 areas. We have the general probability for a hero, and then we have the same number, but also including the guarantee. Because after 70 summons, you're guaranteed to get a legendary hero, which of course kind of changes those numbers. But to keep it a little bit more easy, a bit more easier just to compare those numbers, we're just using the left area, only the general probability for a hero. So now let's look at those numbers a bit more in depth. First, if we look at the exclusive heroes, for example, Labanis or Nastyanka, as you can see, we have a 0.01% chance to get those heroes. So it is extremely unlikely. Then we have those other heroes who are still relatively unlikely to pull, heroes like Premta or Ivalios, with only a 0.04% chance. However, this is still like 4 times more likely that you get someone like Premta or Ivalios. But we have other heroes that are way more common. For example, Tauren or Rebecca's. Those heroes already have a 0.08% chance. So 2 times more likely than, for example, Premta, and 8 times more likely that you pull one of those heroes than someone like Nastyanka. Also, just to keep this in mind as well, just real quick, for the very first exclusive, you will never ever get Nastyanka or Levanis. For the very first exclusive hero on one of those banners, you will always get a new hero from the season that you're currently in. Just, for completion. Now, back to topic. As you can see now, the ratios here there's a very big gap between those ratios, but it gets more interesting. We have then some heroes who have a slightly worse ratio, like here example Centralia or Garrett with a 0.07%. And this is where it gets super interesting. Let me look for this just a second. Then we have this, Stanguem, for example, or Aspalta, with a 0.15% chance. So it's, 15 times. Now, this is not 100% correct, so please take that with a grain of salt, but to keep it a bit more easy, it's 15 times more likely that you get an Aspalta than an exclusive hero from the corresponding banner. It is still roughly 2 times more likely that you get Aspalta than someone like Suta or Garrett. So especially, and this now confirms what a lot of people always expected or thought, that the new heroes, like especially Aspalta and Stanguem on this banner, are just so much more likely to drop. Also, if you compare Daphne to Aspalta, it is also super interesting that here Aspalta, once again, is so much more likely to drop than Daphne, for example. So this is a very interesting number, and another reason, just in general, why I don't like those banners too much. Now, let's compare those selected summons banner with a premium summons banner. See you in just a second. Oh, and just for completion, let's talk about the target summons banner as well, just real quick. Those are the support banners. I really don't like those banners at all, because first, after 300 pulls, you cannot guarantee yourself an exclusive hero, but only a support hero, which still is very decent, especially if you need them, but not worth it in my opinion, because you just saw how big the difference is between those exclusive heroes and the support heroes. So this is why I value every single banner where you can choose a support hero. I value those banners way worse than any banner where you can guarantee yourself an exclusive hero. But now, this is why in general I don't like those target summons banner. There is another reason why I don't like those banners, It's because you cannot pull any damage dealers from those banners. You can only get support heroes. As you can see, no filter, no Twitch, no Evalios, and so on. Only support heroes. Sometimes, and depending on your personal roster, this can be interesting, but in general, also when we're talking about collecting inspiration, it's just so much more worth it to collect a lot of inspiration on your damage dealers that in general, I don't like those target summons banner too much, and I would definitely recommend you, especially once again if you're free to play or a low spender, to not participate in those target summons banner. But now let's talk about the premium summons banner, because here it gets the most interesting in my opinion. And the first extremely interesting thing that I didn't know as well is if you look at heroes like Lothir, for example, they have in theory a 0.00% chance to drop. However, it is still possible that they drop. Now, if we look at Philendor or Flora, it says that it is not possible, which is extremely interesting in my opinion, because yes, we are within the Necrosis and Lightning banner, but within those premium summons banner, there is no longer only 2 elements included. It's just more likely that you drop one of those elements, in this case Necrosis and Lightning, but it is not guaranteed that all heroes are only from the Necrosis and Lightning faction. So this is another very big difference between the option summons banner and the premium summons banner. But it is still extremely interesting that you can literally not pull someone like Philendor or Flora. I'm not sure. I think this is not entirely correct. It's probably something like 0.0001% or so. So it is extremely unlikely, but just interesting to know, and not what I wanted to talk about. So yeah, now let me show you some very interesting things. First, as you can see, for example, Feenja, who is a non-exclusive hero, is just as rare as all those exclusive support heroes, which is extremely interesting and shows once again how strong some or how rare some of those exclusive support heroes are. Also extremely interesting is the fact that we have a difference between those support heroes now as well. This is something I didn't know as well. I thought that Feenja, Zafi and Gulenda, for example, they are all the same rarity. But this is absolutely not the case, especially if we look on the right area here, the probability including the guarantee, it is around 3 times more likely that you get someone like Gulenda or Zafi than Feenja, which is extremely interesting, and I really don't know and understand why. Because yes, Feenja is also, in my opinion, probably the very strong support out there, and still I think this feels kind of strange to me. Because it is so that those heroes are from the same category, they all have the same banners, so I'm not entirely sure. But now that I'm talking about this, I think I actually found the reason. It could be because we have just more of those support ice heroes. So we have Feenja and Theodemir, so just more support ice heroes which dilute the pool a little bit. So this is maybe the reason for this. Yeah. Also, but this is not the main topic I wanted to talk about. So let me look up the numbers just real quick. And this is exactly what I wanted to show you here as well. As you can see, once again, we have Stanguem on Aspalta, for example, with a 0.1% chance. Now, if we compare this to the exclusive heroes with a 0.01% chance, and heroes like Feenja and Theodemir with a 0.01%, this is a gap of, it's not 100% correct to say it 10 times more likely, but it is just so much more likely that you get Aspalta or Stanguem than, for example, Feenja or Theodemir. So the ratios of getting something very good are still very low. It's just that in general, it is a little bit more likely that you get one of those, I don't want to call them good and bad heroes, but let's just refer to someone like Aspalta or Stanguem as bad heroes. Please, don't get me wrong, I really don't want to say they are bad. Especially Aspalta, for example, she is a beast in PvP, for example, and just in general, a lot of fun to use in my opinion. Just want to show you that if we compare Aspalta to someone like Feenja, they is kind of bad, just because, it is so much more likely to get Aspalta than Feenja, and it is absolutely possible that you have an Inspiration 5 Aspalta while you still have no Feenja. Especially if you pull on the other banners, on the first banners, then it is very likely that you have a very high awakened Aspalta and no Feenja at all, because on the first 3 banners, you are literally not able to pull someone like Theodemir, Feenja, Cineral, and so on. And this is the big main reason why I would recommend you to skip the first banners, the first selected banners, if you're free to play or low spender, and wait for the premium summons banner. Because there are a couple of reasons, in my opinion, why the premium summons banner is better. In general, we have a higher chance of getting a legendary hero. We have in general also a bigger pool and more good heroes in theory available. And also do you have the chance to get one of those exclusive support heroes. And especially for long-term players, those are the most desired heroes. Just because they are so rare, as you can see, 0.01% chance, and they are extremely strong. No matter if it is Berenga, Electribi, Grishna, Reta, Mithrasia, or Chrysos, all of those 6 heroes are extremely strong. Sometimes they are kind of niche, yes, but if you can use them, then they are always so strong. And then finally, yeah, just to repeat this one final time, is just because you also have access to those non-exclusive support heroes like Feenja, for example, Zephyr, and so on, who you cannot pull from the other banners as well. And especially those non-exclusive support heroes can also have a very huge impact. For example, Feenja. If you don't have Feenja and you then get her, it's just amazing. You will have a blast how much survivability this hero brings. And not only her, but a lot of those non-exclusive support heroes just perform extremely well and are definitely worth it. So yeah. Now, to sum this up a final time, I would definitely recommend you to go for the premium summons banner. If you think or if you plan to participate in 2 or 3 banners, then without a doubt you should participate in the premium summons banner or also the options summon banner, where you can choose just 2 elements and then only pull heroes from the set elements. This is also a very, very good banner, but apart from that, the first 3 banners are kind of bait, and I would definitely recommend you to skip them. But yeah, that's it. Sorry for the long video and for the relatively cryptic explanation, also that you just had to look at all those numbers for around 20 minutes or so. I'm very sorry about this, but I really hope that this was helpful for you, and I really hope that this helps you to plan according for the future seasons as well, to plan correctly and good, to use your resources wisely. But yeah, that's it for today. Thank you very much for stopping by, and see you in the next one.